what are you looking at between the relationship with flow and intuition?
We published 4 or 5 months ago, like a 100-page paper in Neuroscience and Biobehavior Reviews about what goes on in the brain as we transition into a flow state. It was sort of a neural dynamical look at what happens in the brain as we transition into a flow state. And that work gave us a really good look at sort of what happens as we move into flow. One of the things that we know happens in flow is intuition gets cranked up really loud and tends to be fairly accurate. So we started asking the question, why is that in flow and how does it correlate and relate? And we started out looking at just what is intuition in the brain and how does it work and what's a neurodynamical picture of intuition. And we're working on papers on that front. And then the next question right downstream from that is, why is flow so much more accurate why is intuition so much more accurate when we're in flow? And some of this actually dovetails nicely with some other peak performance aging research on sort of interoception. So people who are better at interoception, listening to their internal signals, and we measure that by, like, can you count your heartbeats, right, during a given minute, how accurate and people who are better at that tend to have among other things, better pattern recognition skills, and but they also tend to be able to make decisions under conditions of risk with less bias. So better interoception skills translates to less bias. So one of the questions that we've been having about flow is, does flow turn up interoceptive awareness in that way? Is it related to this finding or not? And nobody knows, but that's stuff we're poking at.
So is there then a relationship between listening to something that's coming from inside of you and increased intuitive capabilities? Because I guess it makes sense that intuition is something that comes from the inside, but the fact that there's some relationship between some signal inside of you.
I mean, you have to remember that anytime there's, the fact that we know that pattern recognition, which is at the heart of intuition, creativity, and all that stuff, there's none of it without pattern recognition. The fact that pattern recognition gets massively amplified in people who are better at interoception skills, that's something that's very, very, very telling, because that's something that also amplified pattern recognition and lowered bias would give you more accuracy in intuition. Now, there's a lot of caveats with intuition also. So if you're getting intuition and it's about something that you have an instinctive relationship to, don't trust it at all. Then you're really subject to bias.
So what would an example of that be?
Sex is a basic instinct, right?
Okay.
The urge to procreate. So if you're in a bar and you think that girl or that guy is hot for you, don't trust that instinct.
You're wrong. Yeah.
It's because dopamine clouds instinct. So dopamine amplifies pattern recognition, does a bunch of stuff, but it tends to cloud instinct. Hunger, as we know, can really tilt us. The basic drivers tend to cloud instinct.
Yes, I would imagine there's an inverse correlation between high dopamine levels and hangriness, and when you're at that level, don't trust yourself. Don't eat the cake.
Yeah, never trust the dopamine is always good advice.